Hey guys, it is Mike. It is Saturday. That means it's time for the Saturday Slashback Challenge. This Saturday Slashback Challenge is a little challenge that Joe at the Horror Man um, gives us each week. So he gives us a new topic every week, and we get to watch a slasher movie that goes along with that topic. So this week's challenge was 1980 slashers, and he said watch any that you want to. Maybe it's one that you haven't watched in a while, one of your favorites, maybe one that you've never watched. And I couldn't think of an 80s slasher that I remember now watching, but I found one. Graduation Day. I never saw this before. I don't know how it got past me. It was released in 1981, so maybe that's why I missed it. Um, was too young to see it. We didn't have cable at that time, so must have not caught it whenever I went to babysit at my brother's house. But um, this movie was released in 1981. Um, it's definitely an early 80s horror movie. It's a little slow on the go, so to speak. So the premise of this movie, and let me just point out, it stars Christopher George, who was relatively popular actor at that time. And Vanna White was in this, and she was not an actor at the time, but there she was, sort of like Mariah Carey. Um, so the premise of this movie is uh, Christopher George is a athletic coach, and he really pushes his kids to do their best. Sometimes a little loudly and gruffly, and what ends up happening, his big team is a track team, and Laura is running the race of a lifetime, and he's pushing her and saying 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds. Well, she crosses the finish line and promptly dies. She had a blood clot. So, of course, all the kids are kind of, freaking out about it and upset about it. But what do you do? I mean, coaches don't know that you have a blood clot inside of you. So even if they do push you to do your best, does not necessarily mean that he's a bad coach. Well, then it kind of cracks me up that they're kind of focusing on a track team because it's a track team. I mean, I don't, I didn't know a whole lot of popular kids, super popular kids that were on a track team. So kind of an interesting premise because normally, it's the popular, hateful kids, and these are just, you know, jocks. So what happens is one by one, all the kids on the track team start getting killed off, and you see the killer putting a red lipstick mark over each face as the killer kills them. So the first one is this blonde girl who, her name is Paula. Um, she didn't really do anything wrong. I couldn't figure out why he went after her, but so she's jogging, and all of a sudden she gets killed. And then he goes after another girl. She's a gymnast, and it takes him a minute it takes a while before we finally get that kill. But that finally happens with a fencing jouster sword thingy through the throat. Pretty interesting. Um, and then he just kind of works his way through he cuts off a guy's head. I guess he cuts off the girl's head too. I'm not sure because you just see her trying to run away from him, and she almost gets to where this party's going on, and they have this screeching loud music, and unfortunately they can't hear her screaming, and the killer cuts her off at the just as she's about there, and she runs back into the woods, and then he gets her. So yeah, and the guy who got his head cut off was actually a guy that he was one of the few actors on here other than um, Christopher George that I knew. His name was Billy Huffsey, and he was on Fame back in the 90s or 80s, early 80s, mid 80s. I don't know. But yeah, he was really popular for about 10 minutes. And then, of course, it continues on, and he kills the football player going to get his picture taken, and he kills. I can't remember. There's one other. There's a couple others that get axed, but on the sidelines you have all these goofy characters. So you have like this bumbling cop, not so much bumbling as kind of odd, and then you have the chief of police who's investigating all these kids' disappearances, and he's like he's been in several things. I've recognized him. Truly, what I recognized him from was a Christmas movie called A Mom for Christmas that starred Olivia Newton-John. He actually played a police officer in that one as well. And he's like he can't stand schools and he can't stand kids, so he's kind of interesting and funny. And then you have the principal and the secretary at the school that are bickering. You don't know if they're messing around with each other. I will tell you that the principal's pants are very tight, and the secretary's name is Blondie, and she likes pissing him off. So yeah, you had all these little weird side characters. You really didn't get to know most of the track people that were getting killed. Oh, I remember one kid was doing the pole vault. That was the other one I couldn't remember. That was probably the best kill in the movie, other than the guy's Billy Hussey getting his head cut off. But yeah, he jumps over the pole and doesn't realize that there are spikes in the big thing he's supposed to land in. So yeah, he got spiked. So yeah, I mean, and then you have the Laura girl, her sister. That's another character. She kind of ends up being the final girl because she has, she's trying to figure out, and she's running around through the woods trying to find whoever it is killing these kids with the cops, and she's in heels, and there was just a whole lot going on in this movie. And she ends up, like I said, kind of being, well, she is the final girl because she fights the killer to the death. So, yeah, and then you had her weird father or stepfather. I don't know. Yeah, her mother, this girl's mother, who was also Laura, the one who died first with the blood clot. So the mother is like real mousy and weird, and her husband, and I don't know if it's the father. I think he's a stepfather, but I recognized him too. But he was a total dick. Very weird. Screams, acting like pervy towards the daughter. But the daughter was in the military, and when he started getting pervy with her, she kind of let him know. I learned some stuff in the Navy, some fight moves and all that stuff. So, yeah, it was an '80s movie. It was fun. I liked it. I'm going to keep it in my collection just because it's just fun. I'll probably watch it several more times now that I've finally watched it. But yeah, all right. So that is my entry for this week's Saturday Slashback Challenge. Hope everybody's having a good weekend. Bye.